Boom. All right. Episode 1, I guess, of the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, GSkell. How about you, brother?
I'm good. I'm wondering about your background there. Like, is that really a wall that you have in your home? Looks incredible.
No, it's actually it's a backdrop, and if I can I destroy the illusion?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, do what you want. If you want to, it's up to you. It looks dope.
No, it's dope. So I got it specifically. I'm doing some new recordings, and I needed a different backdrop. Usually, as we've recorded a few of these now in the can, usually I'm over at the ACA Business Club, but I'm here doing some of my own recordings today. So it was either this or the foam wall background. So yeah, I'll destroy the illusion again for you though.
The very little that I know about podcasting, I've generally learned from you, Dallas.
Well, you've now been all right. So you were on last summer my Defeating Depression podcast.
Yeah.
And so Defeating Depression is where kind of it all started for me. And then we started talking about this for you. And my new podcast starts this coming week called Men of Faith and Fire.
So excited.
But I got to get you on that one.
Yeah, count me in.
Awesome. So are we doing an official introduction here on this one so people know what they're watching right now?
I guess we'll start with who we are.
Dallas and Greg slapping the back wall curtain.
So I'm Coach G from CrossFit Edwardsville, and I guess I'm starting a CrossFit Edwardsville community podcast. And I'm one of the coaching team here at CFE, one of the founding people of CFE. And Dallas, I guess I'll let you do your own introduction here, my dude.
Sure. Well, I gave a little bit of it there, but I'm actually one of the community members at CrossFit Edwardsville. And I know, G, for what you were saying with the podcast itself, we really want to provide a platform and a place where, yes, we can get some of our coaches like Coach Sean, Coach Kelsey, you, et cetera, to talk about things like nutrition, fitness, scaling workouts, et cetera. We also want to make it an opportunity to talk with people who are members of our CrossFit community here at CrossFit Edwardsville, as well as members of Edwardsville community surrounding Glen Carbon, for those of you who don't know that term, but really the Metro East of the St. Louis area.
Yep.
So I'm going to plug that a little bit more, and then I'll say myself here too, because I've co-hosted a few of these now pre-recorded with you. But
sure.
As always, everybody, I'm going to throw a banner up and just say you can find all of that info out at CrossFitEdwardsville.com, where there's resources available for you. There's ebooks to download. There's a store to get some sweet swag. I was wearing my Coach Sean shirt today at the gym just this morning, and then also you can book a time to come out and interview and see if CrossFit is right for you, and really get over the fear of CrossFit.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that a little bit.
One.
Yeah, that's a big one. So for me, again, G, you already introduced me a little bit, but my name's Dallas Amsden. I am the Chief Ignition Officer at Men of Faith and Fire. And I get to co-host this every now and again, too, with Coach G here. But Men of Faith and Fire, I coach Christian dads who are battling burnout. And I help them gamify their life with a point system, a scoring system, so that they can get back on point and on fire in their faith, with their families, and in their business. So menoffaithandfire.com is where my podcast is located, as well as Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, all the things. But yeah, I joined up. Oh, and yep, you can follow me on social media. We're both controlling the banners here. You can follow me on social media at Dallas Amsden. I use the hashtag Men of Faith and Fire a lot as well. But at Dallas Amsden is me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all the things. Oh, you're going to throw the hashtag in? Look at him. Yeah. Boom.
I'm learning something. I'm learning something hanging out with you here. But yeah, the kind of the vision that I had when we started, talking about this podcast was that I wanted to create a platform where the coaching team at CFE could share interesting, fresh, novel, helpful coaching perspectives on things with our CrossFitters and with outsiders who might be wanting just to test run our style and get a sense of our flavor before coming in. Because, like you said, for a lot of people, going to a new gym for the first time is scary, especially if that new gym is a CrossFit gym. Then it's terrifying. It's terrifying.
I mean, usually with like the macro gyms, you just walk around and be like, okay, that's the free weights, that's the machines, and everybody then gravitates toward cardio. The first time and they're on their elliptical scouting out what they plan to do in the second workout.
Yeah.
But at CrossFit, you walk in and you're like, why are they climbing up walls, up ropes, jumping over boxes, throwing things around, flipping tires?
Right. Organized chaos. And hopefully it looks a lot more organized in our gym. But, CrossFit there's I guess, an image out there of being hardcore, of being, I guess, maybe a little reckless, an image of being extreme. And I think that image for a lot of people dissuades them for possibly going to a CrossFit gym, because they're like, I love the idea of lifting a bar and learning to climb ropes, but I don't know how I'm going to fit in with those lunatics that do CrossFit. You know what I mean?
Honestly, that was, I'll kind of tell my own story there, G, for a minute. So I had first come in contact with CrossFit thanks to the old Netflix documentary on Rich Froning. Fittest Man on Earth, I think is what the original was called. And I'm watching this guy, and first of all, I'm like, okay, this dude is super fit. He's shredded. He's fast. He's strong. He can swim. He can jump. He can climb. It is the fittest man on earth. But then I kind of started circling around CrossFit a little bit, started watching the CrossFit Games, watched all the other documentaries between Netflix and Amazon Prime that I could find. But honestly, it was one of those things for me. And I think this is a big myth conception. And I say myth conception, not misconception. I think there's a myth around it, but I think one of the biggest myth conceptions about CrossFit was before I ever attended one, because I looked at a couple of different boxes, a couple different gyms, and I said to my wife, I have to get in shape to go to CrossFit. It's, that's how I felt was, nobody just jumps into a UFC ring and decides.
Right. That's a good analogy. I actually never heard anybody put it that way. That's clever.
Yeah. Well, I remember, so me, I'm a pro wrestling fan. We joke about it sometimes at the gym, but I grew up a pro wrestling fan. I remember there were pro wrestlers who, when you would look at them, you'd be like, man, that guy's in shape. But I remember Steve Austin a few years ago wanting to go work out at Venice Beach. And he was like, I need to train for 6 to 8 weeks to get in shape to go work out at Venice Beach. And that was Steve Austin, for those of you who know him. But the idea was, I have to be in a certain peak level before I can even play in this game.
Sure.
And same with UFC. I wouldn't jump in an octagon right now.
Right.
So I would think I'd have to get in shape and you got to roll with the guys a little bit and train and things like that. That's how I felt about CrossFit was, man, I love watching it. It looks like a heck of a lot of fun if you're in the top 5% elite athletes in the world.
And I do think that there's a bias. Like, people that find their way to CrossFit are typically coming from some kind of background of doing some kind of fitness. Like, they've been runners, they've been weightlifters, they've been doing the Orange Theory thing.
Yep.
They've been going to a gym on their own for a while. They've been garage gymming in COVID world for a while.
Yep.
And they have some background in fitness. So the concept of fitness itself isn't new to them, but they're either stuck, like they're not making progress anymore, or they're bored of whatever they've been doing. And CrossFit looks like a lot more excitement, a lot more fun. And in fact, I think this might be a good place to kind of, I guess, identify for CrossFit Edwardsville what our ideal client avatar is, because we've noticed that we have folks that seem to gravitate to us And we have exceptions to this all over the place. But if I were to pick the folks that seem to really love us the most and connect with us and our message the most, they're between the ages of 25 and 45. They're married. They have kids. Their kids are probably under the ages of 10. They are a working professional. Very few stay-at-home people of any sort here. They're a working professional with some history of exercise, and they come to us because they're either stuck or they're bored of doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that by itself, letting people know that, is probably surprising for a lot of people, because I think for a lot of people, they feel that the average CrossFitter is probably single, 25, in peak athletic condition,
drinking protein shakes like a bro.
Yeah, exactly. and living their very best single life. But not like the vast majority of our CrossFitters are people that they have jobs, they have spouses, they have kids. And a big part of the draw is that this gives them an outlet to go and be adults, interact with adults, have fun, not have to worry about being a parent or a spouse or whatever, an employee. They don't have to think about any of that. They could just come here and they can nerd out on doing some fun, exciting exercises, pick up a bar, drop it down. In COVID world, proverbially high five and fist bump some people.
Right, air distance.
Air distance, and not have to think about anything for an hour, you know? And for some people, it can become their daily adrenaline rush. It becomes the exciting thing because, for a lot of people who work day jobs, they do a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again.
Right.
And boredom and monotony sets in.
Yep.
And like the day-to-day thing, it's like after a while, you're like, I like to find an exciting new adventure. And CrossFit is definitely an exciting adventure. That is for sure. I am never, ever bored. I am never, ever bored.
That's one of the other things that I think is really great about it is, when I was, because before I had come to CFE, I was going to the macro gym, and it was like, when's leg day? Am I doing, chest and tries, back and buys, etc. And it got very monotonous over time. And it wasn't like I was seeing massive leaps and gains in my health and fitness. Yes, I was getting stronger, proverbially speaking, but I wasn't, fitness wasn't necessarily fun. It was like, well, I'm going to start with 20 minutes on the elliptical, and then I'm going to do upper body today, or I'm going to, whatever it might have been for the pattern. One of the things that to me is very attractive with CrossFit is I don't have to think about the workout necessarily. I can look at it the night before inside the app, or I can look at it that morning before I come, but it's programmed for me. And it's almost like it's programmed with all the variations in mind, so that over the course of 4 or 5 days, 5, 6 days in the week, you're hitting everything, and you're hitting it multiple things in one day. And like today we were doing they were pulling techniques, but the range of motion was different. So some pulling laterally, some pulling horizontally and vertically. I mean, so there were different muscle groups being worked. I didn't have to think about it. Plus, everybody in the gym is doing the same thing I'm doing. Yes, they're scaling it to their ability. Some people doing handstand push-ups today versus I was doing dumbbell presses and not going inverted. Some people were doing the push-ups off of a box. Some people were just doing plank holds. But we're all doing the same thing together. So, yes, you get the adult interaction. You get a little bit of competition. I mean, there's always me and one guy, we're looking at each other. What did he put on that bar? Am I going to outdo it by
Cloud?
5?
I bet it's Cloud.
It's Cloud. I was going to say, I wasn't going to say it, but I noticed today he was like, what Dallas put on that bar? So
I noticed you guys deadlifted the exact same weight too, didn't you? No, you got him. You beat him on the deadlift.
I beat him today. Yeah. He beats me, but then he went inverted on the handstand push-ups, and I didn't today. Yeah. So he beat me in that. But there's always that little bit of competition, but it's healthy competition. There's a communal aspect because we're all doing everything together. The clock is running on the metabolic conditioning, the Metcon. It's running at the same time for everybody. So there's that element of it too. So I'm not alone in the crazy CrossFit journey. It's a journey that there is, like today Sean was in the coach in our class. It's a journey that I get to follow the guide who makes sure I'm moving well. I'm moving with excellence. I'm not going to injure myself. I'm scaled appropriately because he knows where I am in my fitness journey. So I think, again, this myth conception, you have to be in shape to do it. Number two would be you have to be crazy to do it. I don't think that's true either, but also that you're going to do it alone. That's another myth. You're not going to go out there and do the WOD yourself alone. You're part of a community of things happening. And I think that's really beneficial too.
Yeah. And I'm a total introvert. For me, my batteries are recharged by being by myself, working on my own. But, especially in COVID world now, where there are fewer and fewer opportunities for adult interaction, I find that I really need that hour with other people to interact with others, bring me out of my shell, and I guess develop that other side of me, because otherwise, literally, I'm not getting out at all.
Right. No, we might as well have you, writing scripture with a pen and brewing beer. You're practically a monk if we don't get you in the gym.
Correct. Yeah. If I don't have y'all getting me out of my shell, it's a mess. I mean, it's a mess either way. Let's be honest.
Well, we can ask your wife about that. We'll have her on sometime to talk about the mess.
So you talked about scaling the workout and how I think it's important to identify for anybody who's not yet initiated to all of our lingo that scaling is another word for modifying or adjusting the workout to make it the appropriate thing for you, the appropriate variation for your abilities and what you want to get out of the workout. So, interesting story, 9 days ago, 10 days ago, I went snowboarding, and I'm not good at snowboarding. I'm learning. I'm getting a lot better.
Everybody read that as code, meaning he ate more snow than he skied on it.
Dude, I wiped out so many times. I think conservative estimation, I think that over the course of about 9 hours of snowboarding, I probably crashed 60 times because I would just ride to the top. On the way down, on 90% of descents, I would crash. Now, most of the time, it was just, hit the ground, bounce a couple times, dust it off, and I'm good. A couple of times I landed kind of hard on my right arm, and one of the times I actually thought I broke my right arm. I didn't. Nothing's broken, nothing tore, but my right arm was definitely sprained. And for the last 9 days, I essentially haven't used my right arm at all at CrossFit.
Yeah.
But I haven't missed a workout because it's all adaptable to whatever your abilities are. I could literally be, I could have only one leg. It doesn't matter. The coaches can adapt it so that I can still get a great workout. And I can tell you this, I'm right side dominant, and having done every workout only using my left arm, it's going to shore up my left side so that as my right arm is healing, my left arm is going to be stronger than it was. And hopefully I'll be more symmetrical by that point. So that's the silver lining to all of this. But anyway, the punchline is that you don't have to be in shape or even have 2 limbs or 4 limbs, I should say, in order to participate in this. So I did think going into this, podcast, that it would be kind of cool to have an avenue for, sharing things about CFE and coaching perspectives with me and Kelsey and Sean. But I also thought it'd be kind of cool to have an outlet for getting to know CrossFitters better, because we have some fascinating personalities in this community. In fact, I would go so far to say is that, CrossFitters are probably by default interesting, people that they're living their best lives. They're high level performers and stuff. They're leaders of business and industry. They're, people who are more likely to be willing to push themselves in general. Right. This is just almost a side note. We have a bunch of people that are starting our nutrition coaching program this week, and we had all of them do Enneagrams, and it was fascinating to me how many type 3s there were in Cognos. I thought that was neat, and I think that it's probably not an accident that people that find their way into CrossFit are probably the kind of people that they're used to pushing themselves in their career. They're used to pushing themselves when they were high school or college athletes, and they want to find a place that continues to push them to do more, be better, level up, get to that next tier in their life. And so we have, people who are in their 60s, who are just incredible people that I think a lot of people, they'd be an inspiration. The Randy Lemons, the Vicky Beavers of our community. We'd love to know more about them. And like, how do you get to be 60 years old and just like fearless when it comes to a workout? Because that sort of mind space carries over to all areas of life.
Sure.
Like those two, for example, they're exceptional people. And I think it's really cool to capture their stories and share that with the people, because there'll probably be people out in the community that would relate to that. And say,
100%.
Either I am like that person or I want to be like that person. I want to be around motivated people like that. One of the most common things that I hear having initial conversations with people who are just dipping their toes into the CrossFit waters is the Globo Gym thing is just so not motivating. And I need a more motivating environment because I just can't do it by myself. We hear that a ton.
Well, I think I'll use Randy Lemon as an example. Well, let's first of all, let's unpack the idea of the Enneagram thing. That's really cool that all the people who joined the most recent nutrition challenge did the Enneagram. I think that's a lot of fun. For those of you who don't know the 3 type, which GSkell and I are both 3s, so we can speak to it. It's the achiever. So it's the highly motivated, highly driven person who wants to excel, is also fairly adaptable, but it doesn't mean you have to be a 3 to do CrossFit. That may be something that, you could be a wing of that, or you don't have to. I know all different personality types. And ultimately it's the sense of, for some people, it's just simply an intrinsic reward that they get. And when you mentioned the other gyms of a few minutes ago too, you're right. It can be very boring. So even for a 4, even for a 6, even for a 9 or 1, it's
7s, the enthusiasts, those like extremely personable people that want to be in a community of people.
Yep.
Like sending them to a gym alone is probably a death sentence to them.
Yeah, for sure. And again, the idea of monotony is just destroyed at CrossFit because I know my Monday workout is never going to be the same. My Tuesday workout is never going to be the same. And I'd say probably the only thing is we work shoulders a lot. I know Sean loves the boulder shoulder thing. But it seems like because we do a lot of lifting and pushing and pressing and all of that. So your shoulders are engaged a lot. Your legs are engaged a lot. But it's never just like, hey, leg day is always going to be back squat and calf raises and this and that. It's just not that. It's not traditional gym rat experience. It's man, let's get in the cage and play together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And even you mentioned the COVID thing here. You guys have been amazing about everybody's got their taped off area. Everybody is socially distanced. I don't come within 6 to 8 feet of anyone the entire time I'm at the gym. We're all wearing our masks. It sucks to breathe through them, but I'm also increasing my lung capacity while I'm in the middle of a
silver lining.
Yeah, it does. It's got, it sucks to wear a mask in another environment, but at the same time, my lungs are expanding. And I've actually found that when I'm out running now by myself, I've gotten a little bit faster and I'm not as winded. My heart rate's not as high on a longer run. And I'm sure it's because I've been wearing a mask for the majority of my workouts now. But everybody keeps their distance. Everybody's wiping down their equipment, spraying it, sanitizing it between. So even in a COVID environment, you can still get a rock star fitness thing going. And and you mentioned people like Randy Lemon, Mr. Lemon. I don't know if you've recorded a podcast episode with him or not yet.
I'm working on it.
Good. Get him over that. I'm happy to co-host that one with you, G.
Heck yeah.
One of the favorite elements of my day is me walking out from the morning from my class and him coming in and us just seeing each other and exchanging those glances and those air fist bumps from 6, 7, 8 feet away. And me saying, and almost every time I see him, I say, have fun with this one. And he goes, yeah.
Right. So one of the advantages that I have, that I'm one of the 8 a.m. exercisers, is that there's not a group that's getting done just as I get there. So I don't see people breathing heavy, sweating through every pore in their bodies when I arrive on site, like Randy Levin and the 545ers do, because they arrive and they see Dallas Amsden
just floored sometimes.
Aftermath, recovering. Yeah. But I
checking my heart rate monitor, breathing easy.
I've noticed that like the COVID situation, the COVID world has forced us to become very, very inventive, and especially in terms of operational flow and how things work. And so we actually now have there's a cleaning team, a professional cleaning team that comes in every evening to sanitize every single surface that gets touched. But they have a exact charter every evening to set up all the equipment for the following day, so that when Dallas or Randy or whoever shows up for their workout, all the parts are already laid out for them, which again makes things faster and more efficient. You imagine, going to a Globo gym and somebody has already set up all of your equipment for you. And it's dedicated. Like, hey, this is your exercise station, your equipment, for any variation of this workout that you want to do, your stuff is ready and waiting for you. You know how much time you save with that? It's incredible.
It's true. Well, and you got to deal with the people at those Globo gyms that you're like, why didn't you wipe that down, dude?
Yeah.
But
you're bench pressing, you left a puddle of sweat at the head of the bench.
You could have, and me, I do leave that little sweat ring on those benches. But yeah, it's the idea that you it's cleaned up, and when I come in and the barbell is already in my space, not that the weights are racked on there, the weights are, the weight stack is there for me too, and the barbell is there, and or a box if we're going to be doing any kind of work with boxes that day. It's actually really great to arrive and know everything's set up for my success, that's programmed for my success. I just have to show up with the right mental attitude that I'm going to push myself a little beyond what I think I can do.
Yeah.
And so even if you can't, I can't string together more than 5 double unders with a jump rope. There are other people in the gym who are hitting 60 double unders before I can hit 100 single unders. And I'm just like, man, that's insane. And for those of you who don't know, double under is letting the rope pass twice under you on one jump.
It's a jump rope move.
It's a jump rope move. The rope passes twice around you while your feet are in the air. Dallas can only do 5 of those before he's hitting his head, before he's jumping into a wall, before he's jumping out a window. He's not very good at those yet. I've gotten better. 6 months ago, I couldn't do any. But knowing that this time I'm going to try a little harder, and I'm going to try and break my own wall. I'm going to try and shatter my own glass ceiling, whatever it might be, whatever the movement is, I can push myself to get a little better every day. And I think you show up with the right attitude, everything else is there ready for you.
Amen. And I think that it's just, I love learning like your story, the stories of other CrossFitters, because I think that the mindset of people that are drawn to CrossFit is fascinating by itself. And I'm really excited that as we go along through this podcast journey to capture the stories and the mindset of people that do push themselves in this way, who are willing to embrace discomfort as a way of life, as a way of advancing their hearts, their minds, their spirits, their bodies. So I had that, I was fascinated by that. And then also, as we were going into this podcast journey, purely selfishly, I realized this is the opportunity for me to hang out with you more, because if I know anything about podcasting, I probably learned it from you. And this is a pretty convenient excuse to hang out with Dallas more. You see how I suckered you into being the co-host here all of a
Look
sudden?
at that. I mean, you learned things like dropping lower thirds, like CrossFitEdwardsville.com on there.
Yeah. And then, so also when we did when shelter in place hit,
Yeah.
um,
Well, that's where you and I got to know each other so much.
yeah, because we were hanging out. We were basically part of the media team producing the on-demand or at-home workout videos for CrossFitters because we couldn't be in the gym
Yep.
in the same capacity. So we ended up working side by side on stuff a lot, which was cool. And I guess probably where our friendship really started to develop because we got to know each other on a personal level.
Yeah.
But beyond that, we during one point of shelter in place, we did a support local initiative where we were doing everything in our power. We recognized, CrossFit being a fairly tribal experience, and the people are very closely connected to each other. And then, when you work hard together, when you sweat and you share that quote suffering with others, become very tightly knit. Our business was blessed by we had a strong community of people that were willing to endure, tolerate whatever we were dealing with in shelter in place. They were patiently waiting for us to reopen. There are a lot of businesses that don't necessarily have a tribal following like that, or who may not be as anti-fragile as a CrossFit community can be. And so we started this initiative where we did a fundraiser here in our CrossFit ranks to raise money for other local businesses. And we went out, we bought gift cards to a ton of local businesses, restaurants, juiceries, like kids, like daycare places, the local video game store, a ton of locally owned businesses, Glen Ed area businesses. And as I was doing that, I found that I was meeting a lot of the people who were the architects of these businesses, because when 2/3 of your staff is furloughed or they can't operate at all, a lot of times the person that you're dealing with in a locally owned business is the owner of the business. And I was meeting all of these fascinating people, entrepreneurs, business owners. I was learning about the people behind the brands. And you and I and these other local business owners, we belong to this fascinating niche group of really unique people who have decided to pursue their dreams through building a business and building it from the ground up. People who have gone all in on an idea, who have gambled their entire lives on this idea that might make all their dreams come true or might completely crash and burn. Everybody knows the statistic, 95% of small businesses fail. And I just think it is so fascinating to learn about the people locally here who have the balls to take the hardest, highest rate of failure game and who have succeeded. Like, I think it's so cool to meet them. And so I thought this podcast could be an avenue for me to get to hang out with those people, get to hear their stories, and then share with our CrossFitters about the personas, the people behind local businesses here.
I love it.
Especially now, like in COVID world, where we see businesses folding left and right. The ones that are going to make it out of this, they gotta be some kind of smart. They gotta be some kind of capable to weather the storm. You know what I mean?
Well, and it goes to that adage, we're all in it together. And when you think of it makes for a nice bumper sticker, a nice t-shirt, a nice slogan, we're all in it together. But the truth is, in a local community like Edwardsville, Glen Carbon, the Glen Ed area, when people know here's a business owner that I can support local, rather than go to, hear the way I'm saying this, if you're going to get takeout from a restaurant, don't go get it from a large national chain. Yes, they could use it too, but they're going to be subsidized a lot more than a local Glen Ed restaurant owner is going to be subsidized. So for him or her to be able to stay in business because, oh man, I know them, I've learned about them, I know their story, I know their struggles, I know their victories, I want to support that. I think that's super. I just think that really is we locally are all in this together more so than we nationally are all in this
Right.
together. The success of our local community is the survival of our local tribe, for lack of a better word. And so I do think that's an important part of the conversations that are part of your heart here, G, for these conversations. Yes, a podcast is a great marketing tool. We can throw the website up a bunch and say, go get an ebook, go book a session, go do this. But really, when we set ourselves up to say, man, you've got to support this local woman, this local man, and what their endeavors are during this thing too, and we rally around each other, that's where true success comes in. And I think that's what we do at the gym too. I mean, people finish a workout before I do, and there's still 3 minutes left on the clock, and I'm going through that last couple of rounds. Nobody leaves the gym and just is like, adios, I finished mine. Man, someone just yesterday was yelling, yesterday was just yelling and being like, man, come on, keep going, Dallas, keep going. I'm sweating, I'm dripping, I'm bleeding a little bit. And everybody's in it together. And through that, I mean, I had one of our guys a few weeks ago got in the square beside me that was empty and was doing push-ups with me and burpees with me because I had like 20 burpees left to go. And he's like, come on. And he's getting up and he's getting down with me. Do you think that inspired me to keep going? 150 freaking percent.
Absolutely.
And if everybody else had just gone away and had been Dallas for those last 20 burpees at the end of 20 minutes of work, probably wouldn't have happened. I would have gassed out and I would have been like, just wait till the time cap. But because someone stayed in it with me and encouraged me along, I got stronger, I got better, I got faster, I got fitter. And the same thing happens in our communities. We stick by each other. We do the hard thing together. We encourage each other, and all of us for it are going to get stronger, better, faster, fitter, and healthier for our community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm kind of excited to bring all these stories to light as we go through this podcasting journey, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so for those of you who, if you're here in the CrossFit, if you're here in the Edwardsville, Glen Carbon area community, and you want to talk with us about your business, man, reach out to us through the website, CrossFitEdwardsville.com. You can also reach out to GSkell on social media at CrossFit Edwardsville, private message us on Facebook, shoot us an email through the site, however you want to do. We'd be happy to have that conversation with you and see how we can feature and support you here on the podcast. And those of you who are in our community already, we're going to be reaching out.
Absolutely. And thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for being a part of this community. To all of the CrossFitters that are listening to this just because they know us and they're kind of curious to hear what we have to say, thank you for being a part of this. Thanks for helping to support us and our vision and our dreams, and for allowing everybody on Team CFE, me, Caroline, Sean, Kyle, Mark, Jake, Kelsey, Dallas, helping all of us to make this our livelihood. I want to say thank you to all of them. And we are hoping to pay it forward with other local businesses as well. And then also maybe give some of our CrossFitters their first time ever to have a podcast interview.
Heck yeah.
It could be. So
we'll remove the mystery around that too. It's simply talking with somebody about stuff you love.
Yeah.
So
just have a conversation. That's all.
That's it. G, I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you. Thanks, man.
Of
What's
course.
happening the rest of the day today?
Yeah. Again, everybody go to CrossFitEdwardsville.com, and I end all of my podcasts with this same phrase. So I'm going to end it for you this way. Have a championship day.